Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most direct tools you, as an EU citizen, have to demand accountability. We're talking about the Petitions Committee, or as it's known, PETI.
To really understand how PETI works, we're going to follow a real-world case, the story of Raul Fernandez Moya, a teacher in Spain. He claimed he was facing an avalanche of institutional moves that weren't just meant to fire him, but to completely trap him in a legal nightmare. I mean, just look at this timeline. It shows this absolute flood of irregularities. First, a verbal firing with nothing in writing. Then, manipulated meeting minutes. A secret file opened against him. And then the final blow, getting officially dismissed while he was out on documented sick leave. Every single step seems designed to leave him with no legal ground to stand. An expert report summed it all up with this phrase: a procedural simulation. And that just nails it, doesn't it? It captures the whole problem perfectly. This wasn't just a bunch of mistakes, it was the performance of a legal process. Kind of like administrative theater, put on just to make an injustice look legit. So, what do you do when all the doors at home seem to be closed? When the national systems fail you? Well, this is exactly where the EU level kicks in. And it does so with a body that acts kind of like a democratic sun, shining a bright light into corners that have been kept deliberately dark. Okay, so let's get into it. PETI is seriously one of the most powerful and yet least known tools for citizens in the entire European Union. Basically, any EU citizen, resident, or even a company can send a petition about anything that falls under the EU's responsibilities and directly affects them. But here's the thing, a petition that actually works isn't just a complaint. It's got to be a really well-argued case. You need that powerful human story at the center of it all. You need a crystal clear link to EU law. We're talking things like the Whistleblower Directive or GDPR. You need to show it's a systemic problem, not a one-off. And finally, you have to ask for something concrete. You've got to give the committee a clear road to follow. And this really gets to the core of where PETI's power begins. The second a petition is accepted and kept open, that's it. The sun is switched on. It immediately forces the member state and the European Commission to put something on the record. They have to give answers, and that creates instant public pressure. Now, this is a really crucial point. PETI's power is about light, not force. It's about scrutiny, not punishment. It can't fine anyone or overturn a national court's decision. But what it can do is force a government minister to get on a plane to Brussels, stand on a European stage, and explain their actions under the full glare of the political spotlight. And all these levers, they work together to create what you could call political gravity. The constant requests for information, the looming threat of a public hearing, or even a fact-finding mission, it all starts to pull on national bodies, forcing them to react. In this case, it was Spain's High Inspector of Education that started feeling that pull. And this political gravity, it doesn't just apply pressure on one spot. A single petition can actually become the center of a much, much larger system, pulling other powerful watchdog groups into its orbit. And all of a sudden, something that started as one person's complaint about their rights can spark investigations into financial fraud by OLAF, anti-competitive behavior by DG Comp, or even criminal proceedings from the European Public Prosecutor's Office. It creates a whole galaxy of accountability. And believe me, in this case, the stakes were incredibly high. The institutional sabotage that was alleged wasn't just about one teacher's career. It was tied to the regional government walking away from over 5 million euros in EU recovery funds. And get this, those funds were meant for the exact innovation projects that the teacher was trying to get off the ground. So what's the big picture here? What does this whole solar system of checks and balances actually mean for you? Well, the most important thing to remember is that this entire mechanism, it wasn't designed for governments. It was designed for citizens. It's your tool. So let's break it down to 3 key takeaways. First, think of PETI as your own personal remote control for accountability. Second, remember that just one single, well-put-together petition can light up an entire switchboard of EU oversight. And third, Your rights as an EU citizen aren't just fancy words on a page, they have teeth, and bodies like PETI are there to make sure they bite. This statement from Raul Fernandez Moya, the teacher at the very center of this story, just captures the whole spirit of PETI perfectly. It's not about asking for favors. It's not about asking for special treatment. It is about demanding that the system gives back what was unjustly taken away. And that is a really powerful thought to end on.